All right, welcome back to SK Hobbies AZ, and I am Stitch. All right, so today we're going to be working on the Redcat Gen 7, and we're going to do the steering knuckle conversion. And it's a kit by Redcat that they put out to fix the steering radius. So let's get to it. All right, so kit, not very expensive. I picked it up from my local Redcat dealer, Brad Lee at awesomehobbies.net, and you know, he's local here, so I just picked this kit up from him. It's part number 180090S. Let's see if we can get you guys a view of it. All right, so what this kit comes with is it comes with these aluminum knuckle replacements. And it comes with a art steering bar, and then it comes with a shorter servo arm. So we're going to get that kit installed. Some of the issues we had with the Gen 7 amongst the steering issues is I had to replace this housing for the axle, and the reason behind that is my son was at our bash event and he was on these little crawling rocks that everybody was playing on, and it toppled over, and somehow when it landed, it broke one of the tabs underneath right here that your lower linkage and the bottom of your shock attached to, which is right here. You can see that he broke it. So he kind of broke it right there. So I had the idea, you know, I do have a 3D printer, and there was a gentleman that had a already done up one on Thingsverse, so I printed it out. First time I printed it out in PLA, and I did it at 100% infill, so it was, you know, stronger. And I'm like, well, we're not really bashing these things, we're just on the rocks, and if I can print them pretty cheap, I just print a couple of them, and when they break, I'll print them. In that process, he had a center divider right here. Well, I couldn't get the upper linkages, these guys. Let's see if you can see them, but these upper linkages right here, I couldn't get those inside of those grooves. And so I cut it off. I cut off that center one, ended up getting them to squeeze in there, and I got the bolt in. And then I started putting in the lower links with the bottom of the shocks, and I broke the end putting the screw through. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I need to print it a little bit, you know, in a carbon fiber PLA. So I tried that, which is right here. Had to do the same thing. I had to cut that out in order to get the upper links in, but the lower linkage and that spring, it's just the tolerance right here is so tight, and trying to get them to squeeze in there. This one, I didn't even try to get the screw through it. I was just trying to get the two lower links put into there, and it broke. So I went back and printed a third one, tried the same thing. This time I got farther. I was like, I'm going to start on the other side. So I started on the other side over here, got this one installed, got that one installed, got over to this one, and in the process, I broke it again in the same spot. So I was like, you know what? I've already burned through 3 of these. I'm going to work on designing one myself. maybe I can design one a little bit bigger, or a little bit more beefier on those arms on the sides. And then I'm gonna probably try doing in some ABS and try printing it that way. But still want the crawler up and running for now, so I contacted Brad, and he was able to get me out a brand new one, which I got installed. I didn't do that on camera because there's so many of those out there of people installing these things. So I went ahead and got that just installed and got that fixed. But I wanted to do one on these videos. I don't really see too many of them, too many installs on these out there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the install on it for you guys, just so you guys can see. It seems pretty simple. You're, pretty much the process is removing your tires and then taking off the bolts that hold your linkage in, removing those, and then it's just removing the old C hubs out of the way. Moving the bearings over to the new aluminum ones, and then there's also a little bushing in the back that we got to make sure we get put in there, and then putting that back on, putting the bolt back in, mounting the linkage back up, and putting the tires back on, and you're good to go. So what I wanted to show you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys over to my other camera here. All right, what I wanted to show you guys is I'm going to connect up this battery and grab the controller. So you can see that we get a little bit of a, compared to the other ones, the steering is okay, but you don't really get, you want just a little bit more. Now I know that if you push this a little bit more and get that little bit more, it locks that linkage up. So we will see how, after doing this modification, we'll see how much more steering we get. But you can see on the camera right here, you're getting a little bit, but there's still a lot of play in it. So let's go ahead and get this taken care of. Let's go ahead and get this shut off. And then we'll get these tires removed. Now with these ones, this one that I rescued, and it had monster truck tires on it, and so I ended up buying a set of these are Amazon special, and they're Super Swamper tire foams. So they're almost just like as soft as the ones that come on the Gen 8. But I took my old rims from the Gen 8 and I put it on this tires, and they do pretty good. I mean, they weren't that expensive. So other than that, this thing is pretty much stock. I did 3D print that the gear housing. I do see some issues with it. I got to go back in and do a little bit of adjustments on it, but the housing right down in here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Let's see right here, right where my finger is. That's the pinion gear that kind of pushed through and tore through my plastic on the PLA there. So I'm going to redesign one, make one a little bit thicker in that area, give it a little bit more room, make sure that the gears aren't rubbing on it. But for now, I think we're okay with what we're doing. So we got to make sure we're removing the hexes. Don't lose that little pin there. So we got that pin off on that side. And then we're going to do the same over here. We're going to remove that. Pull that pin off there. So now all we got to do is remove this linkage. So there is a nut on the bottom. So, all right. Got that removed. And you're going to reuse the rod ends on these guys. So once I get this off, I'll show you the difference in size on it. All right, so that's the original one, and this one's going to be just a tad bit shorter. But let's go ahead and get this removed. So we got one converted. Let's go ahead and pull the other one off of here. Does seem like it's a little bit of a tight squeeze on getting to that nut there. All right. So now we got this one. So we got the next linkage taken care of. So all that's left to do is remove these guys. So with here, you've got a screw on the top and a screw on the bottom. That's all we definitely a tight tolerance on that guy. Same with this guy. So I mean that's good. It's good that it's a tight fit. And then looks like inside where these screws are the bushings. So they're right there. So we need to pull both of those out. Set that aside. Get those bushings in there. So we're going to take a little piece of electrical tape. And we're going to put that bushing in just like that. We're going to put the electrical tape over it. To kind of hold that in place while we slide it on. And once we get that there, pull the electrical tape out. Wham! Now, let's get that screw on there. All right. Now let's see if we can. We got to duplicate it for this side now. Vehicle. Those bushings actually fell out pretty easy out of this guy too. So we'll see how tight of a back on camera here. Oh, see, the bearing went in smooth on that side. So that bearing, I mean, it did move in there, but I may need to replace that bearing here soon too. Everything went in pretty smooth on this one. Well, we will see. Those bushings in. we're going to have to do the same little trick on this guy. That upper bushing just does not like to stay. Get my piece of electrical tape. And we will stick that in place. Put that upper screw in. And now for the lower screw. There we go. All right. So now, the next thing we want to do is we want to reinstall this linkage. So the way this guy was before was he was attached under like that. And then we had one underneath on this side here. And then this was attached up on the top. So let's go ahead and put this side on over here first. All right. Now we got our linkage. We are going to do the small linkage on top. The lower one goes underneath. And it's all held together with a lock nut. And tighten that up. And now, all we need to do is reinstall the screw for it goes onto the servo horn. Which there's two spots, and I originally, when I got it, it was on the top one. I dropped it down to the bottom one, and I was able to get a little bit more steering out of it. So installing this one, I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to start with it on the bottom. Now we'll see. Okay. So now we got to reinstall our hexes. So you got to put that pin back in. And you get your hex on. Now these ones don't have a set screw, which is kind of a shame, but we'll just make do with it. We're going to put our tire back on. this side. All right. Let's put our battery on. Let's turn it on. Get the controller. Well, I guess it looks like it's only just a little bit of a difference. So we'll notice more once we get it out on the trail. But I do think eventually I am going to do the conversion on this, and I'm going to put on portal axles. So this is kind of my guinea pig truck. Didn't really cost us very much. I picked it up for 90 bucks and can't really complain about that. I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys back up front. All right. Well, that concludes it. I mean, we're going to take it out this weekend. We're going to test it out. So we'll see what the steering does, you know, with that new linkage on there. Worst case scenario, at least we got rid of this, the plastic ones, and we put a little bit more weight in the front. With the aluminum, I know there's a little bit more weight in the aluminum ones, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and bash that bell. I'm Stitch, SK Hobbies AZ. I'm out.